Well, good evening, everybody, and this is the Commissioners' meeting of Monday, December 12th, 2022. I would like to call this meeting to order. Okay, well, for those of you who would like to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, you may stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get into the approval of the meetings, I have a couple things. For those of you who don't know, this is Commissioner Coward's last meeting. He has been with us since 2013. And we will have our comments at the end, but I just would like, people, to know that. And also, this is my last meeting as the chair of the committee, so we will move this right along, so. Okay.
I move we adjourn.
That's fine with me, I don't care. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of November 7th, 2022, and also the minutes for November 14th, 2022.
Move pass. Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Whoa. We have any discussion? Is hearing none, seeing none? I call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But the next one is the informational reports and presentations. Jim, I am going to turn this over to you because I'm not sure if there are some people here.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yep.
First of all, I just want to bring to the attention of the commissioners that the investment report from Thrive 2027 is in your packets. This investment report is a synopsis on how the county's contribution to the Thrive 2027 program was distributed through the goals and objectives of Thrive, and all the good work that money went towards from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. So wanted to bring that to your attention. Secondly, this evening I asked two individuals to come and to share their ideas around a concept that they brought forward to me probably a couple weeks ago now, in the use of the Community Corrections Building down at the LEC jail campus. Their intentions are to aid in asylum seekers, particularly those females who are pregnant and are located in hotels or the shelters that we have in our region. And before I take too much thunder out of their presentation, I would like to introduce Martha from Hope Act and Victoria from Quality Housing Coalition, who will be here. And I don't know which one is going to take the point, but I will invite you up to the microphone and allow you to pitch your idea and just bring the commissioners up to speed on what your proposal is so that we can start the ball rolling.
Thank you so much. I'm Victoria Morales. I'm the Executive Director of the Quality Housing Coalition, and I'm here with my partner, Martha Stein, Executive Director of Hope Acts. And before we start, we also just want to say a really big thank you to all of you commissioners who have prioritized housing and investing in housing as one of the priorities of our county. And for those of us who are working in this area, we deeply appreciate that focus, and we think it will make a huge impact on our community. What we would like to talk to you about today is we are in as you all know, a pretty serious housing crisis, and there is an issue that is very critical right now. You've been reading about it in the paper likely. We have a number of unhoused pregnant women, and they are unhoused and not even staying in shelters, not even staying in motels and hotels. They're on the street. They're at the Oxford Street shelter, which, as you know, is individuals who have severe and persistent, mostly mental illness. And so these unhoused mothers who are pregnant are staying in places like that. Last month there were 43 is the accounts that we became aware of. and there were 3 stillborn babies born last month to this population. This is a tragedy, but we believe that there could be a solution, and we believe it's a short-term solution. It's not permanent. It's a transitional opportunity, and that's what we wanted to talk to you today about the use of the Joyce House. My understanding is there's perhaps half of the building that is available, that is newly renovated and has about 20 rooms with shared kitchen, shared bath, and shared living spaces. So it's considered a single-room occupancy, according to housing folks. We believe that this would be that temporary crisis solution that really would have a huge impact on this population. Not only would it allow our organizations, and we'll talk to you a little bit more about what we do and why we believe this is the right partnership, not only will allow our organizations to keep these women stably and housed and healthy as they're moving towards delivery of their children, but also will bring the community together to a space that is centrally located near Safeway, where folks will be shopping for food, on the transit line. Our individual organizations do have folks who are housed in this area. It's a perfect location for folks seeking services. We've been working with Maine Med and their labor and delivery department, as well as their public health program, to really talk about how can we have a place for this population, which it's so critical right now. They have a roof over their heads and beds to sleep on. How can we have a place for them? So I'll just share a little bit about my organization, and then Martha will share about her organization. At Quality Housing Coalition, we have, for the past 4 years, we're in year 5, been providing housing for folks who are unhoused and housing unstable, families, individuals, pregnant women included. We do this work day in and day out. We work with landlords in the communities who are agreeing to remove their barriers to applying for housing. So the application barriers and the fees that go along with it, the credit checks, and all of having 4 times the income in order of rent in order to apply. We work with our landlords to remove those barriers, and then we support folks in their housing so that they are successful. And I can tell you that after year 4 and now moving into year 5, we have housed, with our partnership with HOPE-ACS and 12 other housing readiness programs in Maine, we have housed over 550 households, over 840 adults and children. Every single one of them would not have been eligible to apply for this housing, every single one. All of them are extremely low or low income, more extremely low. And about 60% are asylum seekers. Just this year alone, we are monitoring and supporting in the tenant management and the resource connection 200 units of housing. 163 of those are in this Portland area. So coming together with our partner, and Martha will explain the work that she does, we work very closely together with this population, and we really believe that this is a solution that this community can come together on. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. I'm Martha Stein. I'm the Executive Director of HOPE-ACS. I don't know, has anybody heard of our organization? Maybe, maybe not. So we provide transitional housing in our building for asylum seekers. We're on Sherman Street in Portland. We've been doing this work for 10 years. And our model is that we have single adults living in the building, and then our offices are in the downstairs. And we are solely focused on giving them the tools and support they need to move to independence and move on to successful lives here. We've expanded our programs a lot over the years, one of which is partnering with a Project Home and the Quality Housing Coalition. And so we have a dedicated case manager who is supporting families and individuals who live in the area, and we got the housing for them through Project Home because we provide deep case management and support for people. Everybody that we have housed in Victoria's program in the last year to 2 years, I think, has stayed housed. I mean, her statistics are phenomenal. And we also we've worked with thousands of asylum seekers over the years to give them what they need to move forward with their lives. So we have, 3 years ago, we started a work permit clinic, and this year we're on track to have helped 700 people apply for their work permits. We just opened a program at the Portland Public Library to help asylum seekers work on their asylum applications, and we do all this with a lot of partners. I mean, she's the best. But we work with the Maine Immigrant Rights Coalition, with all different community groups, and we bring the right resources together to get the job done. And I think what we're really good at is understanding the intersection of social services and immigration law, what needs to be done to keep somebody moving forward, with whether it's an individual or a family, because the immigration laws are just so incredibly complicated. And it's just also, as I just close for this moment, it's a good reminder to everyone, this is our future workforce. The folks who are coming in now, they're mostly very young. They're incredibly resilient. All they want to do is work and support their families. And when they get their work permit, they come into our office and they wave it around like they won the lottery. So we have this huge crisis that we all know about with housing now, and we just want to turn over every stone to see if there is a possibility that we might stabilize more people, get them out of Oxford Street or worse, and get them moving forward with their lives. Thank you.
You all set?
Yeah, just if there were any questions about sort of operations of it, we're here to talk about more of it. But in terms of doing this work, we believe that we can pull the partners together. And Martha and I have been meeting to really talk about this. And if this the commissioners were willing to explore it, we would go right away to bring the foundations in and the funders that we know will be very supportive of this kind of initiative, because it's so critical right now.
Do we have any questions? Commissioner Clune?
We're talking about the community
Yes,
center.
yes.
And did somebody say that you're looking at 20 rooms? And how many rooms are in the building?
I believe there are 42 in the building.
Uh,
Yeah.
Some of them being used for some other purpose?
Yeah, if you can imagine a horseshoe type building.
Okay.
Currently, we have use rooms by our corrections officers who are pulling some long shifts. So instead of getting on the road, we're allowing them to have access to a bedroom so that they can sleep there. We have some of the rooms that have been converted over into temporary storage, just because we got dinged by our safety group out of Maine Municipal Association for storing things in not proper locations within the LEC. And so we are using a number of the rooms on one wing, but there is the middle core and one wing that is not being used. And as Victoria made mention, that middle core has a kitchen to some extent. I don't know to how much of a kitchen, but there is a kitchen there. There's a day room. And there's approximately 20 rooms on that side of the building.
Do we still have an insurance issue with this?
Well, that is something that we're going to be working through. I thought it would be very important for them to at least introduce themselves, give the commissioners a conceptual idea what their intentions are through a conversation towards a lease. But ultimately, we need to talk about a lease, and I think we all have crossed the bridge before that in working with the city of Portland on homelessness in that building. It came down to the liability language that was required out of our risk pool. And so I'm working with Malcolm at the risk pool, and I am in need of giving them some of the language that Malcolm's proposing so that they can take a look at how it fits into their willingness to meet those requirements. So that's to come, but we wanted to get through this step first.
And can you remind me, if anybody remembers, when the City of Portland's new facility is supposed to open on Riverside Street? Warren Avenue.
I don't have a
whatever it is.
date on that. I know
I
it's
thought it
going,
was coming up pretty quick.
if I was to guess, I would say this fall, fall of 2023, but that's just a guess.
I thought it was quicker than that, actually, but probably wrong. Okay, well, good to know.
Thank you for
Yeah.
your presentation and all your efforts. We look forward to
Yeah.
working with you to the best we can.
Okay, thank you. So do you need our blessing on this, Jim, to go ahead? Is that what, or what do you want from us?
Well, I guess if there's any hard no, I'd like to hear it, but if you're okay with staff continuing the dialogue and to see whether we can come to an agreement on a lease, I guess that's what our intentions were, to have them at least introduce themselves and their project to you.
Commissioner Coward?
Yeah, I mean, my concern is this building has been sitting empty, essentially unused, and we've tried a couple of the project with the city that fell through because of the risk pool. I was disappointed that happened, and I think, you know, we're in a bit of an emergency situation with asylum seekers. They're here legally. They don't have any place to live. We need to support them, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity. I'll leave it to my successor in office to work out the details. But for what it's worth at this point, yeah, I'm in favor of full speed ahead on this if we can put it together. Sounds like a very useful use of otherwise unused space.
Commissioner Cloutier?
My little footnote to that, which I think is exactly right, is for, I guess, Commissioner Gordon, who carries our water to Augusta from time to time. If there is a specific set of insurance rules that we would like to apply to this building, and we don't have good luck with our discussions with the staff of the insurance co-op, then I would ask people to consider whether a specific request be placed on the agenda for the board to decide, and let people go on the public record about whether they're going to support this kind of endeavor. That's just a suggestion, but it seems to me like that issue never came to a head.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question?
Yes, sure, yes.
Great, thank you. Because I don't have the previous background on the liability language from other time when something maybe didn't go through, I don't have that history. But I guess my question is, when we're looking at insurance or liability exposure, does the length of time that this lease would be entered into make a difference in terms of the liability exposure? If the lease was transitional and it was only for 8 months versus a year, or does the time frame make a difference when we talk to our insurance folks about that, or is it in general exposure is a problem?
It's in general.
That's in general.
Yeah, this was a facility, I'm sorry.
Oh,
This was a facility that was full of inmates until COVID struck. It's inmates who had become trustees, basically, and were going out each day to work and coming back. And it was consolidated, that activity was discontinued, and it was consolidated into the jail, the main jail, as a result of the COVID exposures. We then were asked to create a residential situation for housing, transient housing or displaced housing by the city of Portland, and we were quite in favor of that. And basically, the insurance pool that we actually probably are the most important member of because of the size of our premiums and that kind of thing, has a board. The board is very rural in its orientation, according to some critics. 5 of whom are sitting here. And as a result, there was we were unable to reach an agreement. We sent them to the city of Portland to try to work it out. And in the end, the Portland City Council said, no, what they want, we can't accept. It's ridiculous. And they did not use that facility. And so we're afraid that we're likely to run into the same kind of issue. At one point, we had given them notice that we might pull out of that pool, which probably would have destroyed it. And we didn't do that without substantial misgivings. And then research told us that we probably shouldn't do that. So I think that summarizes
Thanks for the backstory. I
all of
appreciate
the
it.
wonderful stories that we have to share about that. But it was infuriating to us that it was okay to house prisoners at a much higher population, but people who had come from some other country and might have the wrong color, they couldn't be accommodated.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gordon, did you have your hand? Oh,
Just to amplify this for the public and for future Commissioner Smith, we are insured through an insurance pool run by Maine counties. It's part of the Maine County Commissioners. It's a separate entity, but in some senses parallel to the Maine County Commissioners Association. I'm the representative of Cumberland County, presently the representative of Cumberland County on that body. Historically, it's been a boon to Maine counties to be able to pool together to get their own insurance, so we don't have to go out onto a commercial market. But it is, policy is set where all the 16 counties in Maine have an equal voice. Our needs are sometimes different than divergent from some of the more rural counties, and so there's a bit of
Pull and tug.
creaking and groaning when the urbanized counties, and we're not the only one, but the urbanized counties have needs that the rural counties don't recognize as being a priority. So that's a discussion that we had. That is an ongoing discussion. The benefit, we have a diversity of opinion about the risk pool on this board, but they are, I think, generally speaking, admirably conservative in the way they go about it. But sometimes that makes it difficult for us to do what we want. And this was a case where this happened. So I think that would be something it is something we're gonna have to work out if this process goes forward. What I'm hearing is we are in favor of this. I think we may be able to work something out, but it's a little different than just going out on a commercial market and saying we need liability insurance or something. And the reason the risk pool exists is that occasionally counties find themselves in a bind where they can't get insurance for their normal activities just because of the risks involved and so forth. So it's by and large it's been positive, I think, but sometimes we have to deal with this. So you will learn. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner-elect Smith will no doubt be up to her elbows in risk pool stuff before long, so.
We're certain you'll figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
We're counting on it. Commissioner Gordon, did you have your hand up, or did you have your hand up for Tom?
I passed the topic over to Tom.
Oh, okay. I have a question for the major, seems how the sheriff isn't here. Is there the possibility that this would ever reopen again?
Depends on the staffing, Commissioner.
Okay. So it still remains the staffing issue? Okay. Okay, yep, I just wanted to get that. Okay. Do we have any other questions before them? So, is hearing none, and I would say it's loud and clear, Jim, with you and your staff, we can move on to see where we are with this and come back and probably put it on the agenda for some time in with January, which, that will be you, Neil, so, you know.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm just looking out for you there, bud. So, okay.
Great, thank you.
We will move.
Thank
okay,
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, with comments from the public. Seeing no public here, we will move on. But the next item is the consent agenda. Neil, would you like to read those up real
Sure.
quick?
I will actually, and
Okay.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda as follows. Item 22-123, authorization for the county to renew the contract with Trinity Ford Services Group. Item 22-124, authorization for the county to accept the 2023 Bureau of Highway Safety Impaired Driver Grant for $10,000. Item 22-125, authorization for the county to accept the 2023 Bureau of Highway Safety Speed Grant for $7,500. Item 22-126, authorize the county to purchase Dell Power Protec DD 6400 and Data Manager in the amount of $47,759.49. Item 22-127, amending the non-union personnel policy. And item 22-128, amending administrative regulation number 16, grant policy.
Thank you. Okay. If we have no other discussion, I call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on. Under the our business with Jim, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As the commissioners are aware, there's been a lot of ground covered by the Public Health Department over the last year. I think we're now 14 months old. Is that about it, Liz? And Liz has done a wonderful job and a lot of successes over the last number of months. Those successes all require capacity. And one of the key pieces in capacity is to bring a new position on that will be funded initially by ARPA, but will, over the next couple of years, be transferred into grant funding and opioid funding. And so it's the goal of Liz and mine that this position never hits the tax rate and never sees a cliff through the use of ARPA. And we feel very confident that we can achieve that. If it's all right, I'd like to invite Liz up just to talk a little bit about the role of this position and how it fits into her department and organization.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me today. So as you're aware, we have this kind of growing behavioral health problem that's happening across the county. It's definitely was impacted by COVID and continues. We continue to see record number of overdose deaths and just various behavioral health issues happening across the county. We, in our county health improvement plan that we just completed, behavioral health was certainly one of the key goals that we wanted to work on. And what we found is there are a ton of efforts going on. Many of those are really in Greater Portland, and the further out you go, the less efforts there are around behavioral health. They kind of become fewer and far between. And one of the key gaps that we found is this real lack of coordination. And a lack of coordination of all these services, one of the problems is that then we aren't really sure how to kind of address some of those gaps and how to take some of those services that we know are available in Greater Portland and be able to either move them out or have people be able to access them. So with this new behavioral public health manager position, some of the key things that person would be doing, one, they'd manage some of the projects that I've been working on that now just require much more time and attention than I'm able to keep taking on as we grow out a public health department. A big thing that this person would do is to really do that expanded coordination. There really is this need for more coordination and for working with all the partners who are to build more of a public health response to behavioral health. And then another big piece would be to build capacity to help organizations and other entities be able to do the things that they have a desire to do to deal with reducing overdose deaths or having more, behavioral health liaisons. I wrote out for you a bunch of projects that we, in the memo that are kind of already underway that this staff person could take on pretty quickly. I want to just share with you a little bit about, we are asking for ARPA funds up front, mostly because we see that I could really use this additional capacity right away, but we see funding for this position coming quite quickly. We have opioid settlement funds that will be coming to the county. They've already started arriving. They'll continue to arrive over the next 18 years. We also have some municipalities that have expressed interest in partnering with us on perhaps helping them, supporting them to spend out their opioid settlement funds. There's also state opioid settlement funds that could be accessed by the county through grant requests. We also currently have a reentry grant that I help manage. It's called the COSEP grant. And in fall of 2023, we're going to reapply for the grant. And right now, because we had it when Faye Loopy was here, she had contracted services for project management for that, and we pay $22,000 a year for that. But we would keep that when we reapply, keep that in-house and have this behavioral public health manager oversee that work. There have also been conversations, Operation Hope, which you're probably aware of. It's the Scarborough PD has they worked really hard to have this project, right? So they've been working with Portland Recovery Community Center. And so essentially that project now sits out of Portland Recovery Community Center. And Scarborough PD and Scarborough, the town of, is really interested in finding a new fiscal home for that. So we've been in conversations with them about that. And we have not decided, that hasn't been decided that we'd take that on, but of course if we ended up doing that, that would be with additional state funding to do that. So there are lots of opportunity. I think there's actually it's like, I'm worried more about our capacity without the staff than I am about actually finding the money. Obviously I know that's a concern that you all, would have. But our hope is that we would be able to find the additional funds through grant funds and opioid settlement funds pretty quickly. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the position and about the funding for the future.
Do we have any more questions for Liz? Commissioner Cloutier.
We have an idea of where your office is going to be located as time goes on here?
Yes, we do. Actually, it's one of the items on the agenda here. We have found a spot over on Milk Street. It's about 2 blocks down. And so we're able to maintain parking here and have office space there. So we have that ready to go for January 1st.
After we build a nice new facility somewhere on County Way, is that where you expect to end up?
Yeah, that's the hope for sure. We only are doing a lease that's short-term so that we can move into the building with everybody else.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, good presentation. I like the way that this is headed. The question I have is, how does this effort integrate with DHHS and their responsibilities with this effort?
Yeah, it's a good question. The way this position is much more, less sort of doing behavioral health work and more on that coordination, sort of public health level of supporting some of the coordination. So for instance, we have these behavioral health liaisons or substance use disorder liaisons that are at each of the police departments, at many police departments. And they all sort of function a little bit differently. Some of them are, they are hired by outside organizations. Some are hired within the police departments themselves. This position could help them convene and organize themselves so that they have a way of sharing information between them and coming together to learn and share what they're doing and do more coordinated efforts. So they wouldn't do direct service for behavioral health, but they would be kind of supporting those behavioral health projects that are kind of happening. Another example is the city of Portland has got funding to expand their overdose prevention project. So that is just a one-year expansion to really do more work out further in the county, so it's not just focused in Portland. So this position would be able to support that effort and continue to kind of help do that coordination of harm reduction services sort of beyond Portland area.
Could you be more specific as to how DHHS is going to intersect with this?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily see them intersecting. I think most of the, the funding that we would get in the future would be mostly through like Maine CDC, which I guess is part of DHHS, but more on the public health side. So I don't necessarily see, but we would certainly want them to know we were doing these efforts and supporting the effort to kind of create more coordination.
Commissioner
Does DHHS have an outpatient direct care operation at this point related to substance abuse?
Well, the way they support lots of treatment efforts across the, so they give out tons of funding to various organizations. So I think that's part of what's a little bit complicated. So in Greater Portland, there's the Opportunity Alliance, there's Spurwink, there's Sweetser, there's
So they don't have-
Milestone. So there's lots of people doing things, and there isn't necessarily a ton of coordination of those services.
So is DHHS responsible for that? I think,
So this position wouldn't necessarily coordinate those efforts. It would be coordinating some of the other efforts that are that require kind of a public health response. So things like the behavioral health liaisons, like overdose, harm reduction and overdose prevention collaboratives, or building out some additional supports for. It could be supporting schools on how they deal with these ongoing issues that children are having for the behavioral health issues.
so what I was trying to figure out is whether DHHS has any kind of direct service delivery other than through contractors. And they probably, it sounds like they don't.
Not that I'm aware of, no, they don't. It's mostly through contracted services.
And those would be the maybe we call them the usual suspects, Opportunity Alliance, Spurwink, and all the others, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
All very active, of course.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, if we don't have any other more questions, we need to vote on this, correct?
Yes, and one thing I did not make mention, what we're asking the commissioners for is to allocate $282,381 and, of course, 2 cents.
We gotta have that 2 cents.
Put the 2 cents in.
I got the
We
2
couldn't
cents.
round down, could we, Liz?
I know, I'm sorry.
From the American Rescue Plan Act to be spent by June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
You already moved it. Oh, no.
No.
I'll
I need-
second.
Okay,
What's the amount again?
282,381,02.
oh, 2. Oh, you mean it's right on there? Oh, yeah, right there. Okay,
And if we get rid of the 2 cents, we're gonna have to spend $400 in paperwork.
that's true, that's true. Okay, is that call for a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it passes, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Yeah, thanks, Liz.
Okay, we're moving on. It's item 22-119, acceptance of the Maine Prevention Network grant from the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and authorize the county manager to negotiate a contract for the award. This was postponed from our November 7th meeting. Well, Jim, it's all yours.
Thank you. This was postponed from November 7th because at that time, we were still in negotiations with the program, and we did not have a firm number to bring forth. Unfortunately, what we applied for and what we received are two different numbers, and what we received was significantly less than what we applied for. And so it's taken a great deal of Liz's effort to readjust budgets and work with our partners within the grant to get everything in order so that we could resubmit an amended grant budget. That's been all done. We feel very confident that our initial 18-month contract would be $2,090,075, and that would be for 18 months. After that 18 months, we would then be entering into another contract for another 2-year period, and that happens a couple more times for, I think, a longevity of this grant of upwards of 10 years. So this item is in order for Commissioner's acceptance of these funds. And before I kick it back to you, Commissioner, I'd ask Liz, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so, but happy to answer any questions. I mean, we are excited about this grant as a way of really creating the prevention infrastructure that we think is needed, really, for that bigger coordination of prevention work across the county. And we have great partnerships lined up to do this work, and we feel like we've been able to adjust the budgets in a way that we can make that work and have it grow from there.
And the grant is, this $2 million?
Yes. So we need to accept that and authorize me to sign the contract between the program and the county.
So moved.
I'll second.
If there's no other further discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Thank you.
The next item is item 22-130, is authorize the county manager to sign a lease for 4 Milk Street.
Move passage.
Second.
Jim, or did you want to speak? You looked like you wanted to speak.
I was just going to say that this is the last step of the 3-item process here for Liz, and this lease would be funded through the grant that you just accepted for 3 years.
Does that call for a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on is item 22-131, the approval of the county's with 2023.5 and with 2023 and 2024 were budgets.
And I'm locked out of my...
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Have we done enough of this? Why don't we just approve it?
What?
Well, because we're live, and I think we have a responsibility to the constituents.
I just wanted to recap the budget for the commissioners. As the commissioners are aware, and you have seen this slideshow probably, I think Commissioner Watona said she's seen it 4 times in the last 3 months. So I won't go through the agony of presenting it again, as it is a transition budget to get us off the calendar year and get us on the fiscal year. And so we had to create 2 budgets. The first one, we coined the 23.5, and the second budget is the first full year fiscal year budget, which starts July 1st of 2023 and goes to June 30th of 2024. In totality, the needs from taxes of the 23.5 budget is actually down 52%, and that's because it's only a 6-month budget. And so we are proposing a 6-month budget at $16,798,860 needs from taxes. Scanning ahead, we will be using $600,000, as we relayed on to the commissioners last week in workshop, out of the tax stabilization reserve to buy down that tax rate for the 6-month budget. And we feel as though that budget is good to go, and we'd ask for your acceptance of that budget this evening. Getting into the 23-24 budget, again, we are looking at, this is a full-year budget, so we're looking at a needs from taxes of 5.32%. In totality, $1.8 million of new money for a final budget of $37,267,759 needs from taxes. This budget is a budget that, one, focuses on making sure that we are positioning the county in a good position for hiring, and more importantly, retaining our great employees that we have, through a 5% COLA in July, and also is really the first full budget that we'll be factoring in our step, our longevity step table for full enactment. So, a lot of work in this budget around employees. We also have a bond that we would be proposing in this budget of $3.8 million. Just quickly run down what type of projects that $3.8 million includes. We got the jail roof, we got jail exterior repointing, we got the jail cell door locks, we have parking garage repairs, and we have a fire alarm system overhaul here at the courthouse, all making up that $3.8 million. Tax stabilization reserve, this time we're only taking $200,000 out of the tax stabilization to offset and buy down the tax rate impact of this budget. So with that said, I won't go too much deeper into that. I'd like to take a second and just thank Alex publicly for all of his work on this budget. It was no easy task. It's no easy task just to build a budget to begin with, but to throw the complexity of a 6-month budget and then a fiscal year budget after that, and really seeing what this organization needs 12, 18 months from now to run is no easy task, and Alex did a great job really putting this budget together, so thank you. And so we are hopefully got to the point that the commissioners feel comfortable with these two budgets. We have sent out the orders that need to be read for adopting these two budgets, and I'd ask for your approval for these two budgets. Thank you.
Alex, do you have any comments on the budget process this cycle?
No, just other than thank you to Jim for putting up with me when I was spinning out of control as my brain was sort of frying the circuits from all of this. It is two sets of motions. One is page 102 out of the packet, which will have a motion 1 and a motion 2. And then there's a second one that goes through, you go through as well, yes. Yep.
Okay, so, do you want to read that?
First motion that I move that the county commissioners approve the 5-year capital improvement plan in the amount of $169,700 for the budget year 2023.5.
Second?
No further discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Second motion is that the county commissioners approve the 2023.5 general fund budget on the following amounts: county expenditures, $11,889,859. Jail expenditures, $11,202,953. Cross insurance and reallocation, $858,239. Revenue, $6,552,191. The use of the tax stabilization account, $600,000, as we discussed previously. Enterprise funds in the amount of $6,981,765. And grants in the amount of $910,000. The summary budget for all sources of gross revenue, $31,842,816. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. If no further discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
We have a budget.
No, you got to do this one.
We only have 6 months of,
Okay,
We
that's
have
the
6
6
months
months.
budget.
We have a
Make it
six,
summer.
we have a 6-month budget.
Move that the county commissioners approve the 5-year capital improvement plan in the amount of $298,100 in non-debt CIP and $3,836,406 in bonded CIP for budget year 2023-24.
So moved.
Second?
If no further discussion, I call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And the county commissioners, that the county commissioners approve the 2023-24 general fund budget in the following amounts. County expenditures, $25,770,818. Jail expenditures, $22,405,905. Cross insurance arena allocation, $3,298,703. Revenue of $14,006,967. Use of the tax stabilization account for this budget cycle of $200,000. The tax assessment of $37,267,759. Projected enterprise funds of $14,034,400, and grants the amount of $1,761,100 for a summary gross total on the budget of $67,270,226.
Move passage?
Does that call for vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
Jim, do you need signatures?
Will we be sending these out DocuSign? Okay, we'll spin it around for signatures
Okay.
today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sue, I'd like to make a comment.
Oh, yes.
I think this work in the budget is paramount for the county to move forward. And I really appreciate what the administration has done. You've moved us from the dark ages into being in line with the rest of the governments that are in the state, and you're saving us money because of it. So thank you.
Okay, moving on. The next item is 22-131, the approval of the, oops, no, wait a minute, I'm sorry, but 132, with the authorization of payments for the cost of living is increases for elected officials for the 23.5 were budget and the 23-24 were budgets.
Move passage?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Okay. I call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, the next item is 22-133, to authorize the county to increase the billing rate for other county boarders at the county jail. Well, Jim, do you have anything on that? or-
Sure. This item is coming forth because the sheriff's office, as well as the jail, has seen other jails have increased their border rates more than the $65 that we are currently charging. I think the commissioners are aware that there was a long period of time that all the jails were just at $65. That's no longer. Many jails have creeped up to $85. And so the jail feels as though this is a good time that we need to stay in line with other jails and what they're seeking for boarders. And so they're asking to jump up from $65 to $85. Major Courts is here to answer any questions or even add what I'm not saying. So, Major, if you have anything more?
Just echo the same as the manager, is basically two of the counties have gone up to 85 with the cost of food and housing to maintain the facility. Just think it's justified the increase for new MOUs and new borders that we get.
Thank you, Major.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Coward?
just to comment, I mean, casting my mind back a few years, I think we were talking about the actual cost of having an additional person in the jail is more than $85 a day, right? It's more up to
Sure, with
120
benefits,
or
absolutely.
something of that magnitude. Is there any, is this sort of a competitive, I have no problem with what you're proposing to do. I'm just wondering if we need to keep in mind that this actually doesn't pay the cost of keeping the lights on for an additional.
No, I think at one point, all the counties were on the same page with the rates, and I'd say in the past year, Two of the counties readjusted it, which was kind of a surprise for us because we thought it was still 65. So that's all.
So it's sort of making sure everybody's doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
Because I remember we spent a lot of time agonizing over what the actual marginal cost of adding
No.
somebody was, and this is low. I'm happy that we're doing it. I'm not gonna vote against it, but I think just we need to keep in mind the actual cost of running a jail, and it's higher than what we maybe think it is.
Commissioner Cludier.
I was just gonna add, I think the last time the feds ran the numbers, they thought that they had to pay $135 a night.
Yep, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, isn't there something about how, though some of the benefits are who pays for what benefits? In other words, if we transfer a prisoner to another jail, aren't we still responsible for their health costs and so forth?
Yes, the medications, the facility that owns, basically, that has their custody. The
so there
Senate
is some kind of
facilities
law.
are in charge of their paying the medication costs, yes.
And, you know, people would ask why that is. I can tell you, one jail, or, you know, jail facility in the state had their health costs more than double. So,
Question for you, Major. How many do we have out there that we're housing?
With the agreement with York County, I think it's about 40, maybe.
Okay, well, so does this go into a?
No,
effect-
this is basically new business.
Okay, this will be new business starting now?
Once you folks approve it, yes.
Okay.
So we're in a MOU, I think, for another 6 months with York. And again, we're paying them also, so they're keeping the same rate as 65 with us.
And do we have any other ones?
Usually they're just swaps, what we're doing right now. Like if we have a conflict that an individual can't stay at the facility for whatever reason, we'll do a few swaps, but that's about it.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions?
Alex,
Oh,
there's-
Alex.
Just to add on to a comment to what Commissioner Gordon said, we are actually closing in on the date at which we will be going back out to bid for our medical, but there is no indication at present there will be any kind of a major swing. We keep a pretty close eye on how things are trending, and they're pretty much right on budget at present. So there's not a surprise coming that way.
It's good to know.
That's good to know, yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
And
Okay.
do
Commissioner
we have
Gordon.
any late-breaking news about placement of federal prisoners at the jail?
Nothing has changed right now, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Again, staffing is,
Right. How many were they placing as many as 30 or 40 inmates?
at one time, we had up to 65.
What is the staffing down there now? How many are we?
I'm sure HR could, I don't think it's changed. I know we have a few in the pipeline, and I know there's a few starting the academy, and I believe there's 4 that are graduating next Wednesday.
Good.
So,
Every little bit helps.
baby
Yeah.
steps. You
Yep,
got it?
yep, baby steps. Okay. If there-
Anyway, anyone that graduates now would have a lot of opportunities, is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I call for vote. All those in favor of the?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Major.
All right,
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good evening. You can stay if you'd like.
He's all set.
Yes, nobody wants to stay with us. The next item is 22-134, is amending the county parking surface lot and garage schedules for 2023.
Jim.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Oh,
didn't know if
oh,
you
I-
wanted me
He was looking for the heads up.
No, I was, yeah, I just,
Well, first, I want to apologize. I didn't fill out the top of this. I did the memo, but I didn't say who it was from or the subject. So my apologies.
noted. It's been noted, Jim.
Well, part of the budget process, the dialogue we had back in the summer when we were figuring out what our revenues would look like was working with Bill and Ray in the facilities department to see where we fell in the market of garage parking on the peninsula. This is something that we probably do every other year to just take the litmus test because it moves so fast. And what we try to do is we try to be in the middle of the pack versus being the low guys or being the high guys. And so Bill and Ray reported back to us that there was the ability to move upwards. And we have created a schedule within this position paper on what those changes would be. Our hourly rate would go up 50 cents from $3.50 to $4 an hour. Our daily max would go up $5 from $25 to $30. Our monthly pass would be $5 from $155 to $160. Our new pass fee would stay the same at $25. Our lost ticket fee would go up $5 from $30 to $35. Our summer seasonal would go from $185 to $200. And our snow ban would stay the same at $10. And so that's what we're proposing for our revised parking fee schedule starting January 1st of 2023. One thing that isn't part of this schedule, but I think it's very worthwhile to make mention to put it on the commissioner's radar. We have in a sense, it's not an advertised, but it is one of those items, it's a free parking. So if you came here just to run something in this building quickly and get back out, you can fall underneath that 45-minute free parking window that there's no charge at the gate. In looking at that and looking what others do, we felt as though maybe adjust that 45 minutes down to 30 minutes. And we still feel as though we would capture the bulk of the people that are doing that quick transaction in this building. And so this proposal would also be to drop the 45 minutes down to 30 minutes of free parking for those quick turnaround events. With that said, I'd ask for the commissioners to approve the revised parking fee schedule and make it effective January 1st, 2023. Thank you.
I have a question. Do these rates, you mentioned in here, needed repairs and upgrades. Will these, does the revenue generated from this pay for that, or do we have to borrow money to do upgrades, or what?
Combination of all. We have gone through a master planning for capital over the last 18 months.
I remember doing that, yeah. So.
And the facilities department has been working with an outside engineering firm, and they have pinpointed roughly about $2.3 million worth of work. And they have prioritized it. Not all of it needs to be done tomorrow. And so they've prioritized it within this document so that we can start chipping away at doing some of the more urgent work. You just passed the budget that there was somewhere in the vicinity of $430,000 in bond money. That will be a good slug. We have these increases that will help out. In addition, we also, through the state courts contract, they are contributing to repairs towards the garage also.
I know over the years that I've been sitting in this seat, we've done I think a really good job of keep the thing together. I mean, they've patched the floors and, done all sorts of work at the time, so it seems to be in pretty reasonable shape for a building of that age. I'm just wondering if the revenue should meet the costs of repairing it in an ideal world. I mean, there are benefits to having the building there so that we can use it for our own purposes, so it's not necessarily I don't think necessarily we ought to be looking at break even, but we certainly should be cognizant of how much revenue we generate. Does that pay enough? Does that pay an appropriate share of the upkeep? And I'll leave it to staff to keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm. One thing I've learned with parking garages is that you're always doing work in them.
Yeah.
You never find yourself putting down the tools.
Well,
They're a different animal.
It's open to the elements. At some level, it's got the freeze and thaw cycle. It's got a lot of traffic. It's got you know.
Salt.
Salt, it's got all kinds of stuff going on.
Which doesn't mix with concrete.
It's kind of,
Right,
yeah,
not
it's kind of
very
the
well.
worst of all possible things, so, yeah.
It's one of the most underrated critical infrastructures for urban areas. You know, it's really underappreciated.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yeah, since we recognize that this is going to be an ongoing process of you doing a survey and then adjusting the rates, isn't that something that we just should say, hey, just report to us instead of having to vote on it? Wouldn't that make it,
We could
wouldn't
do
that
that.
make it more convenient if you had some swing or something you had to take care of?
Well, we could do that. But we've historically always put it as part of the budget process, and, you know, I always think that a fee schedule that the county staff implement and charge off to the general public, it always has a little bit better backing when the elected officials approve it versus just the staff saying, oh, what's the flavor of the day? And so I would prefer to have it continue to come through the commissioners for their approval.
Fair enough.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move passage.
Second.
Okay. Is all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. Is item 22-135 to authorize the county to transfer the 2022 is end-of-year fund balance into the revenue accounts for capital projects.
So moved.
Second.
I think they don't want you to talk,
That's
Jeff.
fine, let it run.
Okay.
Well, now we can discuss it, so.
All right.
Okay, now
okay.
we can discuss it, okay.
Thank you. Alex, over a number of times this fall, has been doing a series of forecasts on how the budget's going to turn out at the end of the year. He does this because there's a lot of times when we try to reduce the reliance on the tax rate within building a budget, we pull a lot of one-time costs out of the budgets of the departments, and I call it putting it over into the parking lot. And that, we tabulate all the projects that we have in that parking lot in conversations with the departments, and then we see what Alex's forecasts look like as we get closer to the end of the end of the calendar year. With that said, we are in good shape as we enter the end of the year, and we feel as though we can bring forward a number of the projects that we had removed from the various departments' budgets that are all that important and are in need, but just we felt as though there was another funding stream versus the tax rate for these. And so we're bringing those projects forward to you this evening. And I'll just go down through and just give a flavor of the projects that we're doing for those who will be watching at home. Under the Deeds and Assessing Department, we'll need to implement a VoIP phone system, very similar to all our other facilities. Their phone system died a couple weeks ago, and their phone system is one of those phone systems that you find the parts on eBay if you're lucky to keep it alive. And so we need to do something down there. What's nice is that this phone system that we put in down there will be transferable over to a new building. There will be no lost infrastructure. It will be the same phone system that we put in the new building. EMA has been given back a piece of their office area. Historically, the Wyndham Correctional Facility used their building for storage of their armory, guns and protective equipment. That has been moved over to the new correction facility, and so EMA would like to do some work in retrofitting that area that Wyndham Correction used to use into an office, and so there's fit-up money for that. The Sheriff's Office is looking to implement a heat-seeking drone for searches in wooded areas and other areas that they conduct on a routine basis throughout the year. The Sheriff's Office also needs to upgrade their crime scene reconstruction cameras. We need to replace a transfer switch down in the electrical room, down at the jail. We need to replace the exterior doors at the jail. The salt has really eaten the bottoms out of them, and so they need to be replaced. We need to put a no-slip surface at Fleet Services. That's the garage, and putting a no-slip on the floor there. We got Fleet Services' new garage doors. There's, I think, 3 doors there that need to be replaced. We need to pay some attention to the exterior sidewalks around this building. They're in horrible shape. It's a combination of the city of Portland having some ownership in it, but also the Cumberland County, and so we need to contribute some money towards that. We typically ask for some allowance for special projects. One of those special projects this year was the commissioner's willingness to work with the communities and do a fire EMS study in around $60,000. So that was one of those projects that we took out of special project money from last year. Similar projects like that. We got office modifications down at the assessing office to get them a little bit further apart from one another. We have new budgeting software for the finance office, and I would even say the executive office for that. It's some really nice software, and it's going to really help us in preparation of annual budgets moving forward. We have, for safety purposes, we got dinged from a recent review from Maine Municipal Association around EMA's entrances and the hill associated with them, that you could actually, if someone was up on the hill, that you could fall down into their entrances. So we have to fence around those entrances. We've only been up there for 25 years, and I don't know why it's coming out now. But anyways, need to fence around those 2 entrances so that it prevents anyone falling a couple of feet. We have a new point-of-service software at the Cross Insurance Arena that is in the concession stands or the beer stands, how the payment is processed. And then we have the district attorney's office needing to have some court-related software to better do their work with the courts. So all told, these are projects that were taken out of the budget, and we'd like to have them approved under this year-end transfer for 2022. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
I do.
Commissioner Gordon?
You're not transferring all the fund balance, right?
No.
How much are you leaving?
Well,
A couple of months of operational?
we're only talking budget at this point. We have the fund balance, but we have fund balance in the 2022 budget.
But-
Yeah.
So we've already put $400,000 of that into the 2023.5 budget. And then we're asking for this money. And there will be some that gets shed off to the overall fund balance, undesignated fund balance account, yes.
None of this will cause the year-end 2022 fund balance to be lower than it was at the end of 2021.
Commissioner Cloutier?
Can I just ask, when we get to the end of the final reconciliation for this current year, just a note of what our current unrestricted fund balance ends up being?
Sure. I think we'll be at or potentially possibly a little above, and then needing a plan to spend it down over that 20% mark, which is where we're supposed to sort of hit a limit and then find a way to get it back down to 20%.
Is that, in actual dollars, is that something like 6.5 million, 7 million, something like that?
Actually, more around 8 million.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. 22-136, the acceptance of the $250,000 Congressional Spending Act funding from Senator Collins' office for sheriff office for body-worn cameras.
Move passage.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay. I call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 22-137, to authorize the county manager to sign a sole source contract with Axon Industry Incorporated for the purchase of a body-worn cameras and tasers.
Move passage.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, okay, second, yep. Do we have any discussion? Did I have a comment on this? I was disappointed that there's nobody here from the sheriff's office, to speak on this, if we had any, our questions or anything, for all the time and the effort that was, I will put into this and all with the back and forth. So I just, would like that, I would noted that with the lack of communication and, coming to the meeting and supporting this, I'm very disappointed. So, Commissioner Cloutier?
I'm willing to second that, especially since originally we were looking at a more complicated and more elaborate system that involved cameras on the vehicles as well as the individuals, but, we had to kind of face economic reality a little bit, and, I'm sure the people would have been glad to hear why this was the choice that was made.
Okay.
So, you're right.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, I assume that when this asset is purchased, that there'll be, the planning of its replacement will begin to take place in the budgeting.
This is a 10-year contract that we're getting into, and these items will be replaced ongoing. This is it's quite a replacement schedule, and, we're paying for it.
Right.
So, okay, if there's no other discussion, I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, moving on. Oh, geez, well, this is gonna be a tough one here. Is item number 22-138, the appointment of a chair and the vice chair for the Board of Commissioners. Well, Jim, I'm gonna turn this over to you.
Oh, okay. This evening, we are in need of appointing currently the vice chair, Neil Jameson, to chair of the Board of Commissioners starting January 1st. And as we have always, the next one up for vice chair is Commissioner Cloutier. And so we're bringing forth Commissioner Cloutier's name for vice chair of the Board of Commissioners. So I think it is in order for the appointment of Commissioner Jameson as chair and Commissioner Cloutier as vice chair for the Board of Commissioners for 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Could you be a little more enthusiastic?
Yes, boy. As I call for vote, all those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
We
Question.
used a better qualified candidate.
Yeah, really. Well, Jim, has the swearing-in ceremony been for Patty, or how are we doing that?
In
Is
our
it-
conversations with those who were elected, the desire to have an informal process this year was the desire of moving forward. So we have not heard from the DA, the probate judge, the sheriff. Typically, they do their own things in terms of swearing in, so a formal ceremony has not been planned, but if that's the commissioner's wishes, we can absolutely do that.
I haven't seen a certificate yet either, so.
Oh, I'll find one of mine and just give it to you. So that's, usually we've done the first meeting in January? right?
Well, it's first meeting.
We haven't done it in probably 4 years, I think, so.
Yeah, because we haven't had to do it, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to be sworn in by the first, right?
Yeah, you gotta be sworn in by the 1st, and then, because we have a meeting on what, the 9th would be our first meeting, so, yeah, okay.
If it's a formal ceremony that the commissioners desire, we can absolutely get moving on that tomorrow.
It's up to you.
What's your pleasure, folks? I say informal.
Any way that it gets done is fine with me.
Suspicion that would be.
Patty, this is about you. so
It's about you, Pat.
Whatever's the easiest.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. We might
It's
have
still
some.
not too late. You're still,
Run while you can.
Run while you can. Okay. Moving on, comments from the county manager.
Thank you. Somewhere I have a couple of handouts here for the commissioners. I have a handout of the 2023 meeting schedule for you all, so you can plug them into your calendars now. I also have a 2023 committee assignments for the commissioners to figure out what they want to do in sitting on the committees for 2023. That's something that we typically bring forth at the January meeting, so we'll give it to you now and give you 2 or 3 weeks to ponder what you want to do. But please keep me informed so that we can create a final list prior to the meeting of, actually, it's a work in progress because it's, a lot of times turns into horse trading by you all on who sits where. Those 2 items will be passed out once I can find where I hit all of them. Oh, there they are, right there. I'd like to take the opportunity to just thank Sue for being chair over the last year. It's a pleasure to work with you. We talk daily, if not twice a day. And she's a good sounding board on me taking steps forward or steps back or just staying put. And so thank you very much for all your guidance and your leadership this past year as chair.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Tom, I want to thank you for your service here since 2013. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure coming to Cumberland County and knowing someone on the commissioners, as Tom and I probably were together 4 or 6 years.
Something like that, yeah.
In South Portland, and we both ended up here. So it's always been a pleasure working with you, whether it was the South Portland City Council or the Cumberland County Commissioners, and I wish you all the best and have fun in your non-elected role in retirement.
This is retirement, yes, this is retirement. My wife put out the family Christmas letter expressing, and she writes it, it's all in her, first person for her, and saying that she thinks I'll be running for office again sometime, and I editorialized in the middle and said no. So I've enjoyed all this. I'll talk more about this when we get to the commissioners. But I have enjoyed working with you over at this point many years. You are very professional, and it's in my capacity as city councilor, mayor, commissioner.
Well, Tom, it's supposed to be about you, not me.
I know.
So
Well, no, but
just
I'll
wanna-
talk about me in a minute. So, but it's been wonderful. You make our jobs very much easier than they could be.
Well, thank you.
And I
It
speak
was-
from experience on some of that.
well,
So,
It's been a pleasure, and I know staff enjoyed working with you.
Thank
on the
you.
Commission. And then lastly, as the meeting, the last meeting really this year, just want to wish everyone a happy holidays. It doesn't seem like Christmas is like a week and a half away, but it is, so that's kind of scary. But I hope you all have a great holiday. Thank you.
Okay. Comments from the executive staff. Is Alex.
A few things. Commissioner Ortonis, we've had another go-round, and
Yes, we
thank you
have.
again. It's always a treat hearing from you,
I am
and
a
it's always a
treat.
pleasure. No, it is. Absolutely, and thank you. Commissioner Coward, I think the simplest thing I can say is this county has turned into a very, very different place during your tenure, and you should be really proud of that. We've come a long way, and thank you for your support. Otherwise, you probably won't be hearing from finance quite so much for the next cycle, because we're going to go into a 6-month budget. Well, we're going to start next year's audit, then we do a 6-month, and then we get to do another audit, so, see ya.
Let us know when you come up for air, yeah.
Thank you all.
Oh, well, Catherine. With Travis, you know?
I'll echo Jim and Alex. Sue, you're on tight ship. Thank you for your leadership this year. And I do, Tom, the thing I'll always remember about the year 2020 is that you were chair when all of a sudden we all had to go home and we had to figure out how to keep doing the people's business in front of the people some way. And no offense to the rest of you, but I couldn't have had a better chair to figure out how to have meetings over Zoom on, because you know what you were doing. You were the only one here who knew how to use it. And we switched over to this system that was new to everybody, and it made it a lot easier for me trying to figure it out too. You just took the reins and did a phenomenal job getting us through that year when none of us knew what we were doing. So I'll remember a lot of great things about working with you here, but that's the one I'll remember the most. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Amy.
I'm good.
And you're good?
Yeah.
Commissioner Cloutier, you have 3 minutes. Okay, I'll give you 5. I'll give you 5.
Merry Christmas. That's all I have to say. I want to hear from Tom.
Okay, with Tom.
Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to be here. These are my comments for the last, 8 years, 9 years, whatever it's been. I'll echo Alex. The county was very different when I started. I'm not sure how much credit I can take for any of that, but I was very happy to contribute my my bits along the way. One of the things I was very pleased about it was one of the things that I came on the board thinking we needed to do, and that was to integrate the Civic Center into county government. That was one of the headaches that we had when I got on the board. That it was like this independent entity that could do whatever the hell they wanted to do, pretty much, and send us the bill afterwards, and we just had to write the check. And I'm not going to say I spearheaded that, but I was very much in favor of that change. That was something we all worked on collectively, and I think that's probably the biggest single thing that this board has done since I've been since I've been here, that has made the biggest difference for the financial health of the county and for the citizens and users of the Civic Center. I think we've they run a very tight ship. They seem to be fiscally responsible. The management, when I started here, the trustees managed the thing themselves, and with the kind of results that it was very interesting. I was happy to get all the free tickets that we used to get to stuff, because they would hand them out so that we could go and do quality control on what they were doing. But I think the current system, I think the programming is very good, better. They managed to get us through the COVID without breaking the bank or letting the thing fall into disuse, and it seems to be going better and better. So I was very pleased with that happening. I think staff is. I don't have the words to express how happy I am with the quality of our staff. It's gone up consistently since I started here. I've already had some comments about Jim Gailey. I mean, he was a joy to work with at South Portland. He kind of kept me on the straight and narrow when I was a counselor over there. But he's come and grown into this role and really runs a marvelous operation that's gone from strength to strength, and I have nothing but good about that. Alex, I think, joined well during my tenure as I think I got here before you did, slightly.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, very slightly. And my feeling about the financial management of the county is that it is top notch. I never have to worry about where our money is, where the public's money is. You keep track of it and always have all the facts at your fingertips. And it's been wonderful to work with such talented people. Travis, I mean, we've had many meetings with the Maine County Commissioners Association. We've lobbied a few times together. It's been wonderful, and that you and your efforts on our behalf at the legislature and so forth have kind of kept Cumberland County in the forefront of people's minds, which is important, and we have a lot to do. And the other staff people I don't know quite so well, but I mean, everybody, my impression of county government has been that everybody pitches in and things get done and we move forward. And personally, I've always felt like I've been kept well informed about what we were doing. I think this board is very transparent in what it does. We get good information, we try to make good decisions, and everybody pulls together in the same direction. It's been wonderful. The rest of the board here, you guys, I mean, I have always felt that working, sitting in a chair here has been a collaborative effort. We don't always agree 100% on everything, but we all communicate very well, and generally speaking, come to an agreement. There are very few votes that we have that there's a dissension, and I feel like we have been able to discuss the public's business in public and come to, I think, good decisions about stuff. And that is not always the case on elected bodies, and we can all think of examples of where that doesn't happen so much, but this has been really wonderful. Commissioner-elect Smith, you and I go back a long time too. She and I were on South Portland City Council together for several years. I think you will enjoy this, and so I think you'll fit. I think you'll fit right in, and I think to my other colleagues here who don't know her as well, I think you'll find that she will be very, very good to work with, and will be communicative and keep you on your toes. I mean, she challenges me a lot too, so that was always very good. I have enjoyed this tremendously. It's not with a heavy heart that I leave. I mean, I could have run for another term, I think, but I've been an elected official for long enough, and I think it's always time to go on and do other things and let somebody else have a chance. This has been very rewarding to me, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for your support and work. And I'll miss the collegiality. I'm not going to promise that I'll come to meetings and keep an eye on it, but. I've got plenty of other things to do. I'm not going to go home and put my feet up and snooze in front of the fire. So I'm looking forward to new challenges and new things that I'm going to be working on. But thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Commissioner Gordon.
Well, I don't know how you follow that, other than
neither.
to say Merry Christmas and and Happy Holidays, and please be safe. The weather is going to start to come upon us. There is one thing I will say, though. With Tom leaving, we've had a team here for 10 to 12 years. And as he's expressed, sure, there's been pulling and hauling on issues, but in a good sense. And I think the public has been just extremely well served. I mean, I've a number of people that apparently don't have anything to do sometimes in the evening, have watched us. And the comments I get out of it is that it's kind of enjoyable to see people discuss a topic, have disagreements, but move it forward. And it's on the facts, it's not on beliefs on the outside. So with Tom leaving, that team is gonna change. Commissioner, welcome to the team.
Thank you.
So, with that, I'll pass this on.
Neil?
Thank you. Tom, it seems like just yesterday that we were outside the City Hall and all the other election places in South Portland helping you walk down this path. But I want to thank you for your extraordinary contributions to public service for 15, 17 years, both in South Portland, City of South Portland, and these last 9 to 10 years here for the county. You've done exemplary work. You did great work for the Maine County Commissioners Association and statewide, and it really has been always a great, the contributions you've made in conversation in terms of points, great perspective from your wealth of experience in your working life. And we will miss you. We thank you for everything you've done for us, and don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
Well, Tom, I want to wish you with the best, like in retirement, but I'm not going to call it retirement because I'm sure you're going to find something else. It's been a real pleasure, serving with you on this board. And, this has been a board of all of us for what, for 10 years? 10 years or plus?
11,
Yeah, 11 years. And it's been a good board, and I will miss you. And I wish you well. I wish your family well. And if you're really that bored and you're watching this, it's time to get into something. Yeah. And I would like to thank the staff. It was a good year, that it was a hard year for all of us, because a lot of things came up, the jail issue, it came up, with no staffing, our budgets, and just coming out of COVID. And I want to thank you all, because if it hadn't, been, for the executive staff and, for Jim and his leadership, and as Alex, we're keeping this right on that dollar, that I don't know where we would be. And it's just nice, to know the Jim, that I can call up and say, well, Jim, are you serious? Do you really want to do that? Well, so we've had a good relationship, and I hope it continues, even though that I'll be on that side, and not over here, so. And I wish you well, Neil, and to
Thank
Jim, for next year. It's going to be, another year of, I'm sure, of a new building, and our building or committee with Neil, if you'd like to get on that, I'm sure you would. So, so I just wish you all, a happy holiday season, and I look forward to 2023. So, if there isn't anything else that anybody wants to say, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. And now we can eat cake.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
See, Kate.